That's it, especially the Wrekroom.
Shout out to the Wrekroom. We in this bitch.
Come on, man. We at the Wrekroom.
But I feel like we don't succeed because we perpetuate stereotypes and norms and values that don't have a place to serve us today. Because again, let's take the example. If I have the $5 and all three of us are hungry, what if I just said, "Look, bro, I made a $5. Y'all can make $5." Yeah, I sound like a dick. Yeah, it sucks at that moment, but I can't help nobody. So we wait a month, and now I got $50. All three of us are hungry. Yeah, we can eat a little bit better. You can get a full meal. We can all three of us get a full meal, but we'll be hungry tomorrow. But what if we all just waited until I had $50,000? Oh shit! Now I can fucking make a difference. Now I've probably learned something. I have a skill. I have some talent, some traits that I can share with y'all. You learn how to process, and boom, now we're all winning. What does that really sound like? What we see Jewish people, white people, things like doing, and that's just what they're taught from a young age.
Yeah, it's not a prosperity.
Yeah, and you know, even if, because like whites and Jews, they come from just as poor backgrounds. They come from just as much adversity as us, you know. Not saying that it's equal. It's not a pity party. We're not going to say, oh, well, fucking, you know, we suffer, we were slaves, we did this. I'm just saying, in America today, in society today, everyone can suck equally. Some people are, well, whatever. We're not going to talk about those variables, but they can come from bad situations and make it out just like we can.
Yeah, everyone has different struggles.
Yeah, but they're doing it at a much higher rate than minorities because they're not battling cultural and social norms that aren't conducive to their growth like we are every single day. Well, you know, I understand generational trauma is real, but I fucking hate generational anything. I hate that shit. But because it's like, ultimately, who is making you not do the things you don't want to do? So if my parents are pieces of shit and they're abusive and they mistreat me, does that mean I have to be abusive and mistreat my kid?
No, it's a Stockholm syndrome. That's why they keep helping, but we'll discuss that more when I hop on. It's something that can be helped or can't be helped. It's a little more nuanced than what you're believing on the.
Well,
on the
it's
top
not
level.
that nuanced because again, Stockholm syndrome is a diagnosis, and again, if you don't fall into that mindset where your brain reacts that way, you have a conscious choice to do or do not do.
It's something that's been ingrained in you from childhood. It's not something that you just instantaneously get at the age of 18. It's something that constantly kept happening, and then whether you're realizing it or not, that individual, whoever doing it, usually in particular, what we see now are moms, like moms when they come to their daughters. I'm sure you all are aware that like some of the worst things I've ever seen have happened between moms and daughters. Like I remember being on TikTok recently and a woman was jealous of her 1-year-old daughter when her dad was washing with him. Like I can understand at 3, 4, not, you know, a dad not washing with his daughter, that might be a little awkward, you know, those, you know, when it comes to that age. But we're talking about a 1-year-old. 1-year-old's not going to remember anything.
And that 1-year-old can turn 18 and has the freedom to make a decision that she wants or does not want to.
You don't have the freedom to make decisions if like, let's say worst case scenario.
You're confusing the education to make a decision with the freedom to make a decision.
You can enslave the mind. Once you enslave the mind, you have the body, and that's what's happening. Like, so let's say.
All right, and I spoke about that with the ignorance, where you can only do what you know to do. So I kind of touched that.
But what I'm saying is, let's say we take the dad out of the situation. We have the worst case scenario: dad passes away, Lord forbid, or you know, can't see him and all the other stuff. Yeah. You know, all that jazz. Now, all you're dealing with is your mother for the next 18 plus years of your life. That goes beyond just being ingrained on just like this surface level. This is going into your subconscious. So these are thoughts. I'm good, man. These are thoughts and things that you don't even know that you're thinking. So you need a total reset.
Said person turns 29 do they have the autonomy to make a decision, yes or no?
They do have the autonomy.
So at that point, it becomes of what type of education that they come into, what do they learn, yada, yada, yada.
I'm a firm believer after 25, whatever happens in your life is your fault. I'm 100%
So then we're saying the same thing.
What I'm saying to you is it's still a point where you have to recognize that that's happening. If nobody points it out, you don't know that it's happening.
So ultimately, it's up to us to find out what's going on and make a conscious decision to be better.
It's up to the people around you as well. And if you don't, like, it's not just a one-person job. It's a community job to identify, like, hey, you remember our parents used to say, or even with us, like, if we were bad in school, you were likely to get 5 to 6 ass whoopings before you even got home because it was just a community. That community has been...
For me personally, that just sounds like a victim mindset. I refuse to take accountability, so I'm going to blame it on all the people around me.
After 25, I completely understand what you're saying. But if you've been dealing with it before then, it's like, and nobody's changed it or nothing's going on, it's like, it's their fault in an aspect, but at the same time, it's not. Like, I know parents that have literally destroyed their daughter's credit before she was even 5.
That's just a typical poor thing. That's what people do in projects every day.
Like, moms that have pimped out their daughters.
It happens every day.
You know what I'm saying? Moms that pimped out their daughters. Like, you know, children don't really have a say or anything like that. So if you've already gone through that at such a young age, and now you're talking about trying to put them in therapy, or even if they know to go, if they can afford it, now that's a whole different warped reality that you have to undo. And people usually particularly tend to be set in their ways once they reach 35. Like, who you are is typically who you are at 35. So now what you're talking about is just automatically changing. But first you have to reflect and deal with what you have going on. So before you can reflect and change.
I kind of touched on that when I was like barring any variables and kind of set that out. Because what you're talking about are extreme variables. The average human is not going to go through any of those situations that you just...
No, that's actually a pretty common thing.
When you say common, how many? What would be the ratio for it?
I mean, I don't know the ratio off the top
Okay,
of
so
my
that
head.
means it's not common.
Do you know the ratio off the top of your head? How many people don't go through that?
More people go to public school than are being pimped out by their moms. Guaranteed.
I mean, you could go to public school and be pimped out by your mom.
Yeah, absolutely. And what percentage would that be? You think it'd be a small minority, correct?
No, it's not a small minority. It's actually, like, as far as abuse, I think last time I looked, it's like 60 to 70% of single moms.
If we find 30 girls in public school, how many are pimped out by their moms?
Hey, Jamie, I think we're going to need some statistics.
We're going to need some statistics over here, buddy.
Because I hate, and this is my personal opinion, I hate when people try to use random small facts that don't apply to paint an entire picture. I'm not saying what you're saying is irrelevant. What I'm saying is it doesn't connect to what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is the average person with the average circumstances in subpar situations. Everyone has the freedom to make a decision whether to suck or not suck. So when I gave the example of my family, right, where they were all beaten, sexually abused, raped, pimped out, starved, the exact same. Some of them succeeded, some of them failed. The only thing that changed that with the same environment, the same nurture, the same everything, were the people that they surrounded themselves with and the education that they chose to pursue. Now, there was no set age limit on that. It was like, oh, magically at 24 they did this, magically at 30. It just happened over time.
But that's the same
because they're
everybody's not built like me, and you have to accept
that's
that.
why some will fail and some will succeed. But those who succeed, the change becomes at some point they say, I want to be different. So I'm not speaking to people who say, oh, this happened to me, I'm going to be stuck like this. If that happens, that's fine. I get that. But I don't want to advocate for them. I don't want to speak for them. I want to speak and advocate for people who realize that if I have autonomy and I can make a conscious decision to be different and consume new information, I want to do that.
But if your mind is enslaved to a thought process, there's nothing you can do.
My mind was enslaved to a thought process. My mind was enslaved to fucking Spider-Man. My mind was enslaved to what carnal pleasure I can get tomorrow night. My mind was enslaved to alcohol. My mind was enslaved to where can I spend money for a quick, small dopamine boost instead of doing something that will last forever. Everyone has to go through those same indoctrinations, those same enslavements of the mind. But I don't think it's fair to keep giving people a crutch to say, oh yeah, you're right, that's why I suck, and I'll continue to suck because of it.
I'm not saying you're looking at it as a crutch, but I'm telling you overall as to why this happens or what takes place and why it becomes cyclical.
Absolutely, I believe that, and you're right. But I'm saying, at some point, someone has to make a conscious decision to break those cycles.
I totally agree with you because I'm going through that with my father and my brother, unfortunately, right now, because they're using the crutch of my mother passing to keep doing what they're doing, and it's sad, and again, I mean it's biased because I believe kind of a little bit with you.
Yeah, he's right. He's 100% right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but I also believe in your mindset. What you got to do something, you got to get out and that.
You can only do it if you know to do it. So his point is, some people just don't know to take that action because they're so indoctrinated, they're so behind. I can't speak to them. We can't speak to them. Yeah. He's smart. He's educated. This is shit. He couldn't save them if he wanted to. The only person who's going to sit down in front of him is someone who wants to make a conscious decision to be better, to be different. So I just don't think it's fair to us with this platform that we have where we are right now to have one person hear this who's on the verge of making a breakthrough and be like, oh, fuck, I went through that, so I'm justified to continue to suck. I'd rather err on the side of someone making a breakthrough by hearing us say, no, fuck that, don't do that, versus us saying, and this is why you do that, so you can kind of...
I'm not saying you should use it as a crutch. I'm saying they need to understand why they're doing it, and then how to break the cycle. If you don't understand why you're doing it, then you're not doing anything at all.
Yeah. I didn't know why I sucked. I just knew I hated sucking. Like I didn't know why I was a loser. I couldn't tell you the math behind that. But you took the time
and effort to figure it out, and that reflection made you figure it out. You just so happy. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, most people can't even live within their own thoughts. That's why, like, DMT to me is like the best thing in the world for people, and I thought it was going to happen during COVID, but it didn't.
DMT? So you mean the fucking, what's it?
Basic military.
The long ass name.
No, he's saying BMT. Oh. That's how you know we're crackheads. We talking DMT.
Yeah,
he said BMT. Okay.
What's wrong with you people? Anyways, like, all of you are lunatics. But I said basic military training was the best thing that happened because you didn't have a cell phone, you didn't have TV, you didn't have any distractions. So all you had was clipping your uniforms, shining your shoes, and your own thoughts. For the next 2, 3, 4, however months you are, all you did was you just had time to think and reflect. You may have cried to yourself, you may have done all these things, but like, you're also in a very controlled environment, which says you are not going to
that's made for you to fail.
You know what I'm saying? You're not going to commit a 187 on our end with your own self. We'll put you here, and you'll still have this time to think and reflect. Now, a lot of people think and reflect and do that and understand the thing, but now it's like, okay, now who can I get in touch with? Who can I get involved with to get to that next level? And a lot of times people don't even think, I can Google this, I can Google that. Some do, but at the same time, it's like with you, Manning, like I saw the potential in you when I saw you. I was like, he was like, man, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And I just kind of like put it in your ear and see what you did with the information. All I can do is provide you with the information, and you went further and did something with it. I just gave you the opportunity. And a lot of people aren't even put in a position to get the opportunity. And that's what I'm saying. They don't even get the opportunity to reach that potential. And it's like, when you live in certain stereotypes or in certain environments that don't even create that type of opportunity, and you don't even have the type of income to create the opportunity for yourself because you're in these cyclical environments, and when you messed up, your credit's messed up before you even knew what credit was. This is messed up before you even knew what this was. This happened to you. That happened to you. This happened to you. It's like, okay, what should I work on first? What should I do first? It becomes overwhelming. Whereas it's like, it's not that they don't want to do anything, they just don't know where to begin. And the hardest part is always starting.
And I disagree with that. Completely disagree with that. Because again, internet is free. Libraries exist. Schools exist. It's a conscious decision about whether they want to figure out what's going on in their life and what's going wrong. Because you know when shit's barring any type of extreme mental illness or any type of circumstances that forces them where they're not able to do that, people can tell when shit is going wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you can tell something is going wrong, that by process of elimination means that things can be done to make it go right.
But that's why I always hated the flight or flight complex. People either fight or flight. No, people fight, flight, or just do nothing. And that's most people do nothing because they are afraid to do anything.
Or is it kind of going back to like where you said like they just don't know what to do?
Mm-hmm. I've been talking about this for a minute. I kind of go over that. I have a whole nonprofit where I talk to people, so I kind of know how to go. That's why I always say barring variables, barring any extremes, and then I give the opinion. But yeah. So after a long circle, getting back to the point where I was at, barring variables and any extreme circumstances, people will usually have the freedom of choice, autonomy, yada yada yada, to be better. I think that when it comes to our culture, right, another thing that really gets us is that we try to help too soon. We really do. You learn something and you try to pour into your friends, your homeboys, and they're not ready. There are friends that I know are going to watch this that I try to pour. There was one guy in particular when I was like on YouTube University trying to learn how to do marketing SEO. I was like, hey bro, bring your laptop to the crib. We'll sit down, we'll figure out this shit together, and we'll learn this. And he would come over, we try to figure it out. Man, I'm not trying to do this. No, because it just required X amount of work.
Facts.
And
They want to put that time in.
yeah, my mentor Preston Brown says, a lot of people miss out on opportunities because of the disguise is hard work. And I was like, fuck, there's a lot of shit I missed out on because it was definitely disguised as hard work. And that happens for a lot of us. And as minorities, we're predispositioned to give up faster than other cultures. An example that I give people is like when you look at traditional Latin, Hispanic, indigenous populations and cultures and what they did as far as mapping out the stars, learning how to navigate oceans and rivers and live off the land. Look at traditional African ones, same thing. Look at Chinese ones with commerce, all this stuff, Polynesian ones. And we were learning how to worship the stars, the sky, how to navigate all of this stuff. And then you have white people that come around, they look at the sun and say, I'm going to fucking touch that, dude. I'm going to fucking touch that shit. So, it sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's great. No, I don't mean to cut you off, but speaking on a little of that, I've noticed too, because like when I was learning about my history, I was learning how, like you said, we worship the sun and how there was a sun god, but then come along, there's no such thing as the sun god, only the son of God. So it was like, you motherfuckers.
And it's just like, I don't know what it is. Again, I'm not an anthropologist, can't really speak on it, but Europeans, Caucasians are just wired different from us. And we can trace that back in history with how, civilizations like ancient Rome were such cosmopolitan, societies. They worked with everybody. If you were a slave there, it's probably because you lost a war, you were sold into it, you could buy your way out, you could work, women could get divorces back then, yada, yada, yada. And now this is where we start getting in the muddled area with, like, religion did play a role in that and blah, blah, blah. But we do know that Portuguese people and Europeans came to continental North America, landed on it with thousands of indigenous people here and said, yep, this is our shit now.
Yeah, we could all agree with that.
Yeah, this is our shit now. And that's not a detrimental thing because it allowed us to grow up hundreds of years later in the society and the culture that we have today. But they're just wired different. So we have to find out ways where we can figure out how can we trick our brains into thinking the way that they naturally do. Mm-hmm. And those are things we got to figure out. What does it take for me to say, all right, I can be successful no matter what barriers are put in front of me?
Break these chains.
Mm-hmm. The guy Darren Bovey that I spoke about earlier before, because again I was in intel field in the service, and it was me and a couple other black soldiers that he would talk to us, and he would say every day to us, he would say, remember, you can do everything that they can do, but they can never do what you can do. They didn't pass a test. They didn't have the credentials. They didn't have XYZ. So they can never do what you do, but you can do everything they can do. And then when I moved into the civilian world and I talked to him, and he's like, look, bro, we're all black. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I grew up in the hood, yada, yada, yada. For every barrier, every hurdle that was in front of me that I had to jump over to be equal with my white peer, I already knew I was that many times better than him because I had to go through so much more just to get to where he was already walking to. And that's what gets me motivated for it. And again, it's not ultimately a race. I have tons of white friends. I don't view them any differently. I don't mistreat or talk bad about white people. I'm just saying they're just wired differently.
It's just
they
how
have
the
a
system
different
is.
mindset than the rest of us. They have a different culture. They have a different everything. So we have to do things that...
Kind of have to learn off them as well.
Exactly. Because we have those barriers. There's nothing we can do about it. People I have the whitest name in the world. Timothy Isaiah Lord White. just fucking. I was born to be a middle-aged white stockbroker with a name like that. It was just predisposition. But my brother's middle name is Dwayne. You know what I'm saying? He could put Dwayne on some shit. I could put Isaiah on some shit. Who's gonna get hired first? You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. So it's just little things like that. You know, why do we name children weird things? Do I have to name my child Shaquanda Alicia? You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. Do I have to? But at the same time, should society also penalize my child for having that name?
No.
So it's just a weird dichotomy we have to navigate. But until society is caught up and as progressive as it should be, we need to err on caution. We need to do the things that are tried, true, proven, and tested to be successful, just like our white counterparts. Yeah, it sounds whitewash. Someone's gonna put the fucking Dr. Umar. Oh, there we go, another coon again. But it's just the lay of the land. That's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? So.
No, yeah, definitely.
Hella gems, bro. Hella gems. This is getting nice. So basically, kind of going a little bit touching base on what we just talked about. As someone that recognizes they want to make a change or realizes they're going through some shit in their life, what are some steps that they can take on early on that could like lead them to success?
Especially young people.
Bro, I fucking don't know. I wish I had a super long, insightful answer for this, but I don't. For me, I'm stubborn because of how I was raised. So, give you another example. I remember I grew up on a farm, right? So my mom fucking loved mustard greens. So it was like collard greens, spinach, and mustard greens. Mustard greens are like a lot more tasty or some shit. Like, I hated them shits. I thought it was the nastiest thing I ever ate in my life. But my mom was like, yo, you gotta eat these mustard greens or you're not gonna eat anything else and you can't go anywhere. And I was like, fuck it, I'll starve. Literally, just did not eat that shit for like 2 days. And my mom was like, okay, all right, yo, you gotta eat something. Like, but I wasn't mad. I didn't hold it against her. I just did not want to eat those mustard greens. So the pain didn't motivate me to eat the mustard greens of being hungry. The pleasure of knowing that I could get whatever freedom of eating the mustard greens didn't motivate. Like, to this day, if I order something and it's wrong, I lose my appetite and say, fuck it, I just won't eat. Like, people love avocados. I fucking hate avocados. If avocado touches anything on my sandwich, my salad, whatever, fuck it, I'm just not eating.
Gotta get your protein, man.
He's a super villain, dog. Like, who hates avocados?
I just say, fuck it, I'm
protein,
not going to
man.
eat. That mindset is not conducive to triggers that make you change. So when life did suck for me, like when I had the roommate and they weren't paying their half of the rent, a logical person would say, oh, fuck, I should probably pay the full rent so we don't get kicked out. What I did was completely illogical. I was like, well, fuck it, you're a grown man, you can figure it out. No! Like, my livelihood was at risk. Like, that was completely stupid. But pain didn't motivate me, right? And then the pleasure of knowing that, you know, continuing to have a nice place to live didn't motivate me. So, for me, I had to get around enough people saying enough things where I was just like, okay, maybe there's some merit, there's some validity to this. So if someone does not want to be diagnosed retarded like me and stupid, they should probably find out what it is that they want to do in life, find people who are doing those things, and figure out how do I get around them to learn the game earlier. I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to happen. I didn't know how to motivate myself. I was just so fucking jaded, even killed. But I just had to be forced around enough people where it just became logical to upgrade, become better.
So, from what I'm getting at, it's not who you know, it's who you're around or who you put yourself around.
For me, for the average person, it's a pain or a pleasure. It's and you know, I showed y'all yesterday, right? So on my Instagram, actually, I have a saved folder of just all types of just big booty Instagram models.
Facts. He's not lying.
Big booty whole private folder.
He's not lying.
And for me, it's not a direct motivator, but it's a tertiary. It's a quaternary. So it's like a third or fourth level.
Your prey drive in a way, kind of like what bro was talking about.
We can't say that. That's proprietary.
Oh,
We're gonna get in trouble. Now I'm joking.
We'll bleep it out. Yeah.
Don't bleep that out. That's Coach Michael Burt. So he has a book called, Flip the Switch, where we learn how to activate the prey drive. And, likely I haven't read the book yet, but after meeting him in person yesterday, at the summit and
Yeah.
going into it, kind of saying, what does it take to motivate yourself to get into the mode where you're like, I need to get after it. It wasn't money, it wasn't women, it wasn't cars, it wasn't anything for me. It was just seeing enough people be good at it where I was like, okay, I can be good at this too. But that's not normal. I don't have the perception to know how to convey that to normal people. But I would say that figure out what keeps you up at night. What are the things that would make you happy? And then ask yourself, is what you're doing today getting you closer to that or further from that? And the first thing you do, you're probably going to lie to yourself. Say, yeah, I'm getting to it. I'm working on it. But the second you're working on something, that means you haven't done it. The shit's either completed or it's not. And if it's incomplete, fucking complete it. Like,
There's no in-betweens.
Yeah. Just do this. What is it? Yoda. There is... What did he say? What did
I'm
Yoda
not a
say?
Star Wars
Fucking,
fan at all.
God damn. He said, I said this on accident, and somebody was like, oh, you must be a Star Wars fan. I was like, no. Do or do not do, there's no trying. Well, we got a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, my boy.
He knows what we're
Shout
talking about. But yeah, and that's real shit, you know? I mean, you just don't understand it. You just don't get it until it's too late or something clicks and you're like, all right, now I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good. And a lot of people don't apply that at all these days because it's either they try something and then they just put it down and just leave it and then move on to the next thing, which is kind of bullshit because you could just keep on working. And if you keep on working and putting that effort into it, you eventually get something out of it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think it's Grant Cardone that says, go 100 miles either towards your dream or away from it. Because if you go 100 miles in the wrong direction, at least you fucking know really fast that you're going the wrong way and you can correct yourself.
Definitely.
So whatever you do, even if it's not the thing that you know you're going to love, it's not going to be your passion, just go balls to the wall. If you love it, keep doing it. If you hate it, fuck, well, I hate this. Let me try something else. And just keep pivoting until you find that thing that's like, all right, cool, I can do this.
All right. So just before we go out, got some few questions that we want to go through. So obviously you said you had a coach or a mentor. So what is some of the best advice that your coach or mentor has given you, and do you continue to pass that on as well?
Okay, so let's see if I can go through the full list. Daniel Bercagero, Jeff Bradley, Paulo Magdaleno Carlos, Wayne Haynes, Darren Bovia, Timothy Moultrie. Who else mentors me in some capacity? Omero Galicia. Definitely, I would say Tab Pierce. Definitely huge motivation. Who else? Damn, I have so fucking many. I can't. Brian Metzger is really giving me some good moments. And I wish that they all told me something special and unique, but they didn't. They all said the same shit. Like, look, bro, you suck at some point. Get better, focus, and do something. Be great at it. Just break it down. I think if I had to summarize, because the way I like, you know what? I forgot Zebariah Hayes. I forgot Kerry Bovard. God damn, Zeb fucking hazed the shit out of me. God damn it. This is going to be a good reel. This dude, he would call me Schmucky for the longest time because I sucked at what I did. And only until I got good did he say, you know what, you earned your name now. I'll definitely call you White now. And I was like, thank you, man, thank you. But for like a year, he called me Schmucky. But yeah, anyway, I like to be coached in that way. I like to be coached very harsh. I like the hazing. I like that. But in nice ways, the way they break it down for me is do good actions every day that gets you to the goal that you want. So we kind of backwards plan it. I say, hey, I want to do this or I want to accomplish that. They say, okay, well, what do you have to do today in order to get closer to that? And that's pretty much what all of them teach. All of them, and they're all different.
So basically kind of having like a daily goal or a micro goal just to be able to reach that bigger goal.
Just keep doing it because, like, you're not going to want to do this shit. You just got to keep doing it every day. You're going to hate it. Ultimately, like, on a macro level, you'll love it, but there are going to be days you just don't want to do it. Some days you just want to, I want to lay in bed, Let's say you got a partner, the ass is looking right in bed, and you're like, come on, I don't want to get up, and But you just gotta do it. You just gotta put your nose to the grindstone and just do it. Be proficient, be professional, and be great.
You gotta get to the cash.
Yeah.
So obviously, you say you consider yourself an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you've met other entrepreneurs along the way. So, what is an important aspect of business that can be overlooked as entrepreneurs?
God, Damn, this is a banger. I don't know if I'm smart enough to answer that one neither, man.
There's thought into this, so I was like, I gotta be ready.
The easy, corny answer is to say that all of them are important, but if all of them are important, then none of them are important. I would say the most important thing is to figure out how to make money off of it today. I would say the biggest mistake that young entrepreneurs and business owners make is they spend money without making money first. So if your idea isn't immediately profitable, you should probably go back to the drawing board.
God, dude, that's how I'm doing with these shirts right now.
Yeah, so you're spending money to make the shirts. Have you sold any yet?
Nope. And I what do you know what was stupid about it is that I fucking spent more on the shirts. So I had
then
to
we
sell
should've,
these shirts
basically,
in order to make my money back, more of a or just even to make my money back.
Yeah.
Not even a profit, just to make the money back. So on my part, it's a learning curve, getting into that side of the business, which I'm learning now.
So, and one thing that you've seen, and we see this model in video games, we see it in clothes, we see it all over, and it's called a pre-order model. You take us, you survey, you ask, if I release this product, how many of you would buy it? Okay, pay today, so when it's made, I'm going to get it to you. So that way you're making money before and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I had to learn that lesson as well, so, yeah.
Yeah. I feel that.
Unless you create something so dope that people just can't wait for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, really good so far. I'm enjoying this.
Yes, sir.
So, in your field of work, does the term like feminism actually take place, and is there such thing as a glass ceiling? Is that a myth?
The glass ceiling is the most real shit in the fucking world. And we know that because within racism, the glass ceiling still exists. So you gotta think, if you're a minority and you're getting hired, there's a good chance you might get paid less. So if you're a minority woman getting hired, you have the double dot for the minority, and then, being a woman. Wow. In certain fields, statistically speaking, African American women make more than African American men, and Asian women, so on and so forth. But those are micro statistics from very high paying industries. If we look at it as a whole, it's just a double whammy. Just last month, I actually did an event specifically for women where I got them in a room where they could talk about and address that. And this year, I actually be holding a women's only event. It's going to be talking about women who are dominating in predominantly male industries, because the glass ceiling is real, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, for me, a heterosexual male, I intend to marry a woman who's going to be a professional. Why is it that my woman can be overqualified or whatever and just make a fraction of what I make? That's not fair. So that's something I do want to address, because all of us have mothers, some of us have sisters, we'll have daughters, whatever. So that is an issue for disparity that does need to be solved, because it exists within racism. It exists within everything. So the glass ceiling just becomes a modifier to an already bad situation for people.
Damn, man, that is insane. Wow. Because I remember hearing that term in college, and it was just so getting to know women are really put down like that. It was,
yeah, absolutely. Specifically in my field, when we talk about money, women. This is a weird dichotomy. When you look at the average typical, barring any variables or outstanding circumstances.
I got to see where you get your numbers from.
When we look at the average household, women manage the finances. They manage the bills, the budget, all of that.
Oh, you're right about something for once.
Yet, however, we pay them less whenever they enter the workforce. So we don't think they're worthy of making money and being responsible with money, but then we put them in our house and we're like, well, now you have to be responsible with the money. It's just we put them in weird situations where it's just not the best for them to succeed. And it's just in my field, it's just even weird because some men just won't talk to women who could just be the most professional advisors or planners, and it's like, if you were my wife, you could deal with my finances, but if you're gonna be my partner, you just can't.
Wow.
So it's odd. It's odd.
Wow. Okay.
Do you think? Do you see that changing anytime soon in the field?
Just like I said previously, the world does need to become more progressive, but until it does, there are things that we need to do to make sure that we can combat them ourselves. So one of those things would be women should learn how to negotiate salaries. They definitely should. If you already know you're going to a situation where you're probably going to get paid less than your male counterpart, you need to be doing the research. You need to be learning how to arm yourself to have that conversation where you ain't going to get hired. Again, it's wrong of the employer to even offer you less. It's wrong of society to, enforce or, have that glass ceiling, but you still need to arm yourself if you're aware of something that's existed for decades, centuries, however long. So until society changes, I think women need to be prepared with negotiation classes and just proper field research.
So just equip a little bit more better, pretty much?
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. And finally, the last question to end this out. As you elevate and become more successful, does the way you move, change with it, along with your, lifestyle in a way? Does there certain changes?
Fuck yeah. Dude, in 2018, I was on TMZ Tucson for starting a riot.
Whoa.
Wow.
U of A?
Shit, my boy.
U of A?
It was crazy, man. And it's 2023 now. So one of the biggest things was I have no problem with those people I was with. They were amazing. Those are the homies, but I just can't hang around them because they move and operate a certain way that I just can't where I'm at. As you elevate, you just have more shit to lose. It doesn't mean you're better. It doesn't mean you're different. It just means you have more shit to lose than you had in the past. So, I mean, you can get away with more from a legal standpoint, from a professional standpoint, but you can't just be out here, whipping ass and, doing all types of wild shit. So you definitely got to move differently.
You can't be a loose cannon out here.
Oh, yeah, man. And, if you are, just make sure you got enough money for a good lawyer on retainer. So.
And bail money.
Bail money.
Yeah, that for sure.
I don't know what else to say, man. You've been phenomenal. Again, I'm glad to have known you. I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad to finally see you in person, actually.
Oh, yeah, man.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I know we've always been FaceTiming and talking over the phone. It's like, bro, I need to see you.
Yeah, exactly. I was excited for this moment, man.
So, yeah, man, I'm glad you came out to the desert. I'm glad you got to meet the team. Thank you for the advice that you've given me, as long as with bro in the back.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on as well, man.
Yeah, man. So thank you for coming on. I know this is one of more than many. You will be back on for sure. We might just pull up on you.
Thank you
That's
so
if you
much.
Come over here.
Yeah,
move
man.
over here.
I just want to thank y'all for giving me the time on the Wrekroom, on the platform. I really appreciate it. Everybody that's listening out there, make sure y'all stay tuned in onto the journey. You don't want to ride the wave when it's too big. You want to catch it now. So if you're not subscribed to the Wrekroom, follow, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards.
Yes, sir. You know what to do.
Yes, sir. Tap in, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you again for coming on, man.
Just plug yourself in one more time before you hit that, man.
Personal IG is tax-free Tim, all one word.
Tax-free?
Yes, sir.
I thought you said tats, my bad.
Tax-free now. I have a whole Fooly Cooly sleeve, man. I'm dark-skinned. You can't really see it, but it's Fooly Cooly. I love anime, so that's why I have the anime apparel store. So the IG for the store is anime.apparelstore. The website is animeapparelstore.com. And again, for everyone who tunes into this episode, at the bottom we'll put it in, but you'll receive 50% off of your order. The code is going to be Wrekroom. Discount code is going to be Wrekroom.
Wrekroom.
Yes, sir. We're going to have that up in the description. So go and tap in with that. And we also have this lovely clothing as well.
Yeah, thank you for the merch, by the way. Appreciate it.
And
everybody, you want to plug yourself in too?
Yeah, you want to plug in?
Well, you'll be back. You'll be back, but just to let them know.
Word of Mouth Productions. You can find me on Instagram. That's the Instagram, and then it's wordofmouthproductions.com. That's the website. You can find me there too. Just shout out to me, hit me up. I respond most of the time.
Yes, sir. Tap in. We'll also have that in the description as well. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for coming again, man.
Yes, sir,
we
man.
really appreciate it, and blessed to have you through.
All right, appreciate y'all. We'll catch up. I'll holler at y'all.
All right, y'all. This has been the Wrekroom. Peace.